Ime John Corrales, Boston Sports Journal. It's a tough ending here. What was your message to the team after this loss?
It's going to hurt, and it'll hurt for a while, and probably, that stuff never goes away. I've lost one before, and so that was part of the message. Let it propel us forward, the experience and growth and progress that we made this season. Obviously, getting to your ultimate goal and falling a few games short is going to hurt, and there are a lot of guys in there very emotional right now. So the message was, we thank them for the effort and the growth and everything they allowed us to do coaching-wise this year. And the biggest message was learn from this, grow from it, take this experience and see there is another level to get to with a team like Golden State who has been there, done that, and it was evident in a lot of ways. And just don't come back the same as players, coaching staff, and let this fuel you throughout the offseason the next year.
On your right, Mark.
Hey, Ime. You talk about things you're going to learn from. Obviously, one of them is turnovers and taking care of the ball. What did Golden State figure out about you guys that they were just able to do so consistently in that way?
Well, they did what they did, and rotation-wise, they are very consistent with where they're at and don't make a lot of mistakes. And so I'm sure as our turnovers piled up throughout the series, and you could look across the playoffs, it was an area of emphasis. You can pretty much look at the box score and see if we won or lost based on a few things. And so them being consistent and more so, I'm sure in their locker room they're saying, be solid, and get in your spots, and they'll give it to you in some sense. And so our thing, as we had guys growing and learning to be playmakers and look for their own scoring, that's the next phase of it, is seeing different defenses and being solid against that. And, once again, you look at the numbers, and they got 103 on the night. We give them 20-plus off turnovers and 20-plus off second chance points, and don't really give ourselves a chance as far as that. So, they're a solid team. That's a championship team that's been there, obviously, I think 6 out of 8 years, and you can see the consistency on that side and what they did with us, turning us over.
Follow up on Mark on the right.
What, looking to the summer, Rob obviously has to take care of his knee. What kind of a program are you guys laying out for him?
Strengthen his body. That's the main thing in general. And we said it coming into the season. He had his highest minutes per game this year. We wanted him to be able to play longer stretches. And I think he achieved a lot of things and had a lot of growth on the court. But a big part is taking care of your body and staying available. And so obviously have to strengthen up his legs and build all the muscle around it to protect his knees. But what I did tell him also was credit for playing through what he did and giving it a go and being out there for us. But now it's time to rest up, heal up, and get ready for next season and come back in better shape and stronger than you were this year coming into the season.
Adam in the middle.
Yeah, you mentioned learning from it and growing from it. What do you want Jason in particular to take from this experience? And this series in particular was obviously challenging for him at times and frustrating for him at times. What do you want to see him pull away from it and carry into next year?
Yeah, learn and understand who he is in this league. You're all-star, all-NBA first-team guy for a reason, and this is only the start of how you're going to be guarded and the attention you're going to draw. And so one thing that he's always done throughout the season was seen multiple different coverages and figured it out, and he did that throughout the first few series, and this one was a rough one. Very consistent team that did some things to limit him and make others pay. And so from him, it's just continue to grow and understand that you're going to see this rest of your career, and this is just a start. But the growth that he showed as a playmaker this year and in certain areas, I think this is the next step for him, figuring that out and getting to where some of the veterans are that have seen everything and took their lumps early in their careers. And like I said, a very motivated guy that works extremely hard and high IQ, intelligent guy that will learn from this and figure it out. And I think it will propel him to go forward, definitely motivate him.
Jared in the front.
You guys made so much progress throughout the season to get rid of that stagnation that plagued you in the fourth quarters. And then throughout the playoffs, you found a way to keep the ball moving or find isolation ways to score. It didn't really happen in the last few games. Why do you think that fell through in the last few games? So what do you think everyone on the team needs to learn about continuing to move in crunch time?
Yeah, you want to have versatility. That's the main thing. And a team like Golden State that has isolation guys that can go get a basket. Also, they're willing playmakers, but they have off-ball actions and variety, which keeps you off balance. And so for us, we know we have guys that can go get a basket. It's more about big picture and not getting stagnant. To your point, we can lean on that when we have to, but when teams are singularly focused to take certain guys out, we have to have a fallback, whether it's off-ball actions, post-up actions, and some of the things we did tonight and did throughout this season and playoffs at times. And so strengthening up those areas and being more well-rounded offensively, so when they do try to take some away, we can obviously learn from that. But, that's the kind of biggest conundrum all year was how we looked at times and then took a step back a game or two later, even in the same game. And I think those lulls in this series, and today was the end of the first quarter, start of the second, those are the ones that really hurt you against a lethal offensive team.
Gary?
Gary Washington, Boston Globe. Ime, you've been on championship teams before. Did it come to a realization, I don't know if it was tonight, that it's like you might not have enough? I mean, Otto Porter's out there hitting threes, Jordan Poole, like they just seem to have all the weapons. They've been together, and they're young guys, and they're veterans have combined along with the core. Is it kind of frustrating to admit that, like, hey, we just maybe not quite there?
No, I wouldn't look at it like that because we had our chances throughout the series, and losing Game 4 and then Game 5, we had leads in the fourth quarter, so you tighten up and do some things offensively, and it's a different story. So. Winning 2 games and falling too short, and even tonight with a great start, and then letting that go a little bit. It's a 13-point game. They scored 103, and it was just a lack of overall offense. I don't think, obviously guys didn't play their best, and our bench the last few games struggled. So they've been consistent all year, and I don't really look at it like we didn't have enough, but guys didn't play their best, honestly, and credit Golden State for that. They had a huge part in that. Very consistent team on the defensive end. When you look at them across the board, they have, one, maybe 2 defensive-minded guys with Green and Payton, but everybody else is solid and consistent and, really good team defense in general. So don't feel like we didn't have enough, just felt like we played probably our worst series of these playoffs. And if we play up to the standard of a, Milwaukee or Miami series, it's obviously a different ball game, especially in those game 4 and 5 when we struggled in the fourth quarter.
Back left, Tim?
You mentioned before, Ime, that Golden State's experience kind of shone through in this series. At the start of the series, you talked about the fact that you thought the runs you guys had this year, the playoff experience this group had, was going to be enough to make up for that. When you mentioned some of the bench issue you guys have had, just kind of up and down the roster, do you think that a lot of this was you guys being on this stage for the first time as a group and sort of having to try to get used to everything that comes with it, whereas those guys, their leading guys have been through this so many times before?
Yeah, and I don't really look at the experience or our lack of being in the finals as a huge factor, and it's obviously beneficial for them, but more so our experience as a group together and connectivity. You can see the difference between the team who's been there that long and some of our new guys, and especially some core guys that have, got added midseason with, a guy like Daniel that's not playing as much, or Derek, but the experience of being in the finals, I don't think that moment was too big. Obviously, we were 2-2 at the point and had a chance to do something special, but I think we were battle tested throughout the playoffs in some really hard series, and so the finals was another step in that direction. But I think more so experience as a team as opposed to experience of the finals in general was a factor.
You guys, you talked all series about how your offense was the thing that was going to determine whether you'd win or not. What were they doing, obviously, besides the turnovers? What were they doing that gave you guys so much trouble up and down the last roster in terms of not being able to get the production you guys were looking for?
Some of the switching, but like I said, consistency was the biggest thing, where other teams may be solid for a quarter or two. They stayed consistent as far as that and really stuck to their morals, and we didn't make them pay or gave them the ball. And so very consistent group as far as that. They weren't going to beat themselves. And so puts a tremendous amount of stress on you to score and keep up with them, what they do offensively. And so I think we guarded well enough, as I said. I think they averaged maybe 104 throughout the series. And so guarded well enough, but offense obviously was a hindrance there. And more so than anything, just their consistency in general.
Standing on the right, Dan.
Ime, Dan Roach from WBZ. Just a thought on kind of following up that. What Jalen said that you guys were learning almost on a daily basis as you went about this. What did you learn about your team in the first year, and how excited are you maybe for the future with this core and what you think this team could possibly get to?
Yeah, we learned a tremendous amount about each other as a staff, and you know, them learning what we wanted and vice versa. And that's the message to the guys tonight, was like, this is just the start. You know, the foundation's been set. We can kind of hit the ground running next year. Let's get healthy and all be on the same page. And so I think he's absolutely right, where we kind of expedited the process of what some of the things we want to do. Now it's a matter of taking that next step. And what I did say to the group was, there are levels, and you can see the difference in Golden State and the team that's been there and been together for a long time. Some of those guys' core group has been 10 years now. So, you know, we've seen what we can achieve. It hurts that we fell short of that, but you know, what I did say was the future is bright, and we're just getting started. So let's all come back better from this experience.
Last two, Abby and Jay, please.
Ime, we've talked a lot about the physical toll that this run has taken on you guys, but did you get a sense of some mental fatigue as well?
You know, anytime you play some, you know, tough 7-game series, there's going to be some of that. But we had time off, and I think we came in refreshed and energetic throughout the series. But I'm sure there's part of that, and not only mental but physical as well. With, you know, Rob playing through some of the things he was and being in and out in previous series, it probably had a toll on Al, where we had to overextend him at times, and you know, Jason, Jalen grinding us out of, you know, Marcus as well. All those guys had some bumps and bruises at some point, and having to fight those 2 hard-fought 7-game series. So probably had something to do with some physical fatigue, but I think everybody's kind of going through that in the playoffs, and we had enough initially early, and it was more some mental lapses than physical, in my opinion.
Jay.
A lot of teams get to deep in the playoffs and then kind of fade away. How do you've been on a team that obviously took disappointment as a coach and came back from that. What are the challenges to doing that, and what do you impress upon your players that they need to do to approach this offseason, everything else, the rest of the season, to use this to propel them forward?
Yeah, I think, you know, not playing our best, probably playing our worst overall series is motivation enough. You know, we have very highly motivated guys that didn't play their best, honestly, and so we're all going to grind away in the summer and improve in certain ways, but I think the biggest part for us is the IQ section, and that's where we saw a huge difference in consistency with us in Golden State, and just the little things that, you know, experience only can teach you. And so for us, that's the message. It's, you know, obviously losing on a buzzer beater against Ray Allen when I was in San Antonio will kind of feel you throughout a whole season, but this was a little bit different. We improved in a lot of areas, but fell short of our ultimate goal, and some guys didn't play their best, and so that's going to motivate guys throughout the season. But like I said, the message is everybody come back better, and let's not be satisfied with getting here. It's not guaranteed you're going to get here. The East is getting tougher every year, and you know, come back better. We will as a staff as well.